We are a 12-plus-year-old company founded in 2011 by N2N's very own Kieran Kotitala. We have over 150 standard adapters and APIs that cover the whole entire student SAS lifecycle. And for those of you that wondering what that is, pretty much from when the student gets admitted to when they graduate, we got them covered. We have over 250 years of a collective experience implementing, integrating, and supporting higher education. So we have a lot of like subject matter experts. We have over 425 customers using N2N's Illuminate platform for SaaS integration. And lastly, we have 2.75 million transactions processed per day. And now I'll pass it to Joel Dunn, who will go over the big problems we have in our higher education world today. Joel, the floor is yours. You're muted, Joel.
Excuse me. There are some big problems in the university environment these days, probably the foremost of which is decreasing enrollments in many areas. This is due to concerns about value proposition, but really the issues of demographics are driving this a lot. This is hitting regional public institutions in particular quite hard. One that I used to work for, the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, is currently facing a $12.4 million budget cut this year due to the fact that they have lost about 11% in terms of student enrollment between 2020 and 2022. Now, clearly, there's some pandemic impact here, but there is a lot of competition now, questions about the value proposition, and this issue of decreasing enrollment really drives what we're trying to do here, and that is to be more effective at what we do. Right. So one of the challenges that we have, so we have a couple of things working here. So demographically, decreasing enrollments and other opportunities for students, but also we have to be concerned about the students that we have and retaining those students. Substandard academic performance can cause students to drop out. Problems in finances can cause students to drop out. And increasingly, other opportunities can cause students to question, why should I stay for 4 years? Maybe I should go to a trade school. All right, and the support infrastructure that we're trying to put into place is going to help us address this, because if we have decreasing enrollments at the beginning, if we're not able to keep the students that we have, then we have lower continuing enrollments. And remember the old adage from business and industry: it's easier to keep a customer, in this case a student, than it is to win a new one. So this is something that we're trying to address, and making it easier for people to learn what they need to learn about their academic performance, to be better enabled to navigate the problems and challenges around financing their educational efforts, and just to provide an improved environment that is going to help the students to be happy and satisfied with what they're doing. So decreasing enrollments, let's do a better job of keeping who we have. And we have the other challenge is increasing overall costs. Now, there are operational costs. We've gone through a period of significant inflation. We are coming out of that now, but institutions have a number of things that operate really on different cycles. There's maintenance that has to be done for existing facilities and buildings and things of this nature. Then as you look at new programs and new things that the institution is trying to do, then it's how do we fund that? Can we fund that new effort that's going out there to better support the students? And this is back to providing that good value proposition and keeping the students in school, right, that has over the past led to increasing staffing levels. And right now, this is something where we have the challenges with the increasing cost structures that are there, as we have to look seriously at the staffing that we have to provide the services to the student population. Additionally, there's a lot of reporting that's out there that has to be done to funding agencies, to legislatures, and things of this nature. Now, the other part of this, and going back to the enrollment itself, is the institutions do want to make sure that as much as possible that they are working on diversity and equity, socioeconomic access, and so on like this. And the better a job we do at being able to make that value proposition to the student, the better a job we can do in decreasing the dropouts, increasing retention, increasing graduation rates. Right. These are all things that can help us, that will draw students to us and keep those students that we have that are in these categories working with us. So these are the challenges that we face. And now Kieran is going to take over here and talk a little bit about some of the ways that technology can support this.
Yeah, thanks, Joel. Thanks, Rohan, for kicking us off. Definitely, first of all, thank you all, everybody, for joining. I really appreciate everybody's interest in AI, and we know that some of our existing customers, most of our existing customers are here as well. One of the big things that, like Rohan was saying, we specialize in is academic technologies. By academic technologies, we mean like learning management systems, student information systems, bookstores, billing systems, and the like. And, of all the challenges, there's obviously technologies that to increase enrollment, we all are purchasing products like Slate and Salesforce and Ellucian CRM and the like. You're also purchasing solutions to help students learn, like your Blackboard, Canvas, D2L, or Brightspace on one side. And students are also purchasing a lot of technologies. They're purchasing mobile applications, Apple Watch, mobile phones, Apple Watches, computers, iPads, and the conglomeration of all these academic technologies to truly support students' experience has been one of the biggest challenges for higher education. Is that everybody's purchasing products. Your provost is purchasing products, your admissions counselor is purchasing products, your admissions director is purchasing products, and keeping it all together to give a cohesive story has been something that institutions have struggled with. They try to build portals, mobile applications, and no matter what the level of effort is, this is where institutions continue to struggle. As much as increasing enrollments is a problem, as much as retaining students is a problem, doing it all together with the power of technology is a problem that we at End2End have been focused on for the last 15 years. So, this is kind of a good segue into one of the quotes that Steve Jobs has said. I'm not going to read word for word, but you can read it. But what Jobs says by this quote is that higher education is extremely complex. There are socio-political problems, there's bureaucratic issues, and as much as we want to believe technology can solve it all, I don't know, again, Jobs was extremely cynical in this quote, while has been extremely innovative and aggressive and everything else, but, things have changed. So obviously, people who know me, I love Steve Jobs, and I definitely would never say anything that would counter to what he's saying. But the thing that he did not see that happened recently is the power of AI. We now have a real solution where technology can actually make a dent. Will it have a potential to completely transform and radicalize higher education, like we've all been talking about, dreaming and hoping for the last 25 years? I don't know. But I do know that AI truly has the power to bring these together to solve the systemic problems that Joel talked about, with this increasing enrollments, solving the decreasing enrollment problem by increasing enrollment, solving the student dropout problem by focusing on student retention, and solving the rising costs by focusing on tools like AI to reduce the cost. And most importantly, the technology problem by bringing all these disparate systems into one single fold. And in that process, truly help solve the diversity, equity, and inclusivity challenge as well, because the true power of internet that we've seen in the last 30 years is that until the power of internet, library was a privilege. Getting a book was a privilege. Going to a place where I can talk to some learned people was a privilege. But now everybody has access to the library in their pockets. Now with power of AI, we all have access to information and truth in our pockets for the first time. And that's why I want to contend that Jobs was wrong in this code. And we'll show you how in this in a few minutes. So who is end-to-end? What are the systemic problems we're trying to solve, and how do we solve them? Ultimately, if we do something at end-to-end, we want to solve the systemic problems. We want to help students to be able to graduate faster, succeed better, and by giving advisors, students, faculty, and everybody the resources they need to truly transform the world. And the way we do that is by focusing on our core focus, which is enabling into everything using the power of APIs. So what we have done over the last 15 years is built hundreds of APIs that connect things like student information system, learning management system, and campus management system, parking, and others. And we've used these APIs to integrate with mobile applications and third-party products. Now we're using the same APIs to connect these to the AI itself. And that's what LightLeap is. Everything about LightLeap is truly about trying to change the status quo of higher education by using the power of technology, internet, APIs, and connecting them all to AI. And that's the challenge we're trying to solve. So again, we're seeing is believing, so we definitely want to spend some time doing the demo here. But before I do that, I want to see if there's anybody has any questions or comments if you want to post on Q&A. So just as a little housekeeping note, the webinar portion does have ability for you to post your questions and questions to here. Feel free to drop in a question. We did mute everybody, but if somebody wants to say something, certainly you can drop a Q&A, and Abhinav will turn on their audio as well. But before we jump in, does anybody have any additional things that you see as systemic problems for higher education that you think AI can solve? Please feel free to drop it in the Q&A. While you're doing that, Abhinav, please put your eyes on the chat window here, and if anybody asks any questions, you can share it with me. So I'm going to stop sharing here and quick to my product demo, and then we'll go from there. So what we are going to do as part of this demo, if you haven't done the webinar yet before, so we have actually created a webinar before where we went into the student experience where student uses the power of AI. Abhinav, okay, you're already a panelist, Abhinav. So you should be able to do, one second, let me just, Abhinav, color more. Make host. Okay. All right. I'm making Abhinav host as well. All right. Cool. So I'm going to share my screen here, and we'll talk a little bit about the entire journey and how the AI can power different aspects of it. So we are going to do a little bit of a role play here. So let me just. So AI. If you haven't seen the demo before, we certainly recommend you to do it. We certainly have a full chatbot option with LightLeap, where each institution has a public-facing chatbot that allows you to configure it so that your students can come in and ask questions to the public-facing chatbot. So your institution, you can say your students can ask questions like, where is Futildianza College, or what is the enrollment and stuff like that. But because it is pre-configured to your campus, AI will be able to answer questions just about your campus, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But in our first webinar segment, we did go deep into that. But because this is geared as a student success focused webinar, so we want to start on the student success concept. So this is our first step of the chat, first step of the webinar. So I'm going to stop sharing here. Is there a question here, Abhinav, or are we okay?
We are good.
All right, sounds good. So let me just start here and go to the chatbot and go from there. All right. So as I said before, the system has several features. The students can, institutions can configure the chatbot to answer questions about general topics about the campus. So if you look at ChatGPT as a definition, and in theory, students can go there or parents can go there and ask, like, what is the enrollment of Stanford University, or what is the acceptance rate and stuff like that. But the difference between a standard chatbot and LightLeap is that LightLeap has a way to pre-configure the system in such a way that you can rank the answers based on the institution first. So when a student comes in and says, what is the enrollment at this campus, they don't have to respond with saying, what is the enrollment at Northeastern University or Stanford. When they come to the LightLeap's homepage, they can ask the question. And in addition to that, they can also, institutions have a broad discretion on setting controls on it so that the system will only answer relevant questions for the student for that campus. They can configure rules saying that if the student asks questions about the competitive college, it will not answer them, or it will come back with a disclaimer and stuff like that, so that it retains the students at the recruiting. The institutions also have ability to configure the breadcrumbs so that when they come to the public-facing website, they direct them to specific resources that will help them drive more prospective students towards the admissions funnel and the like. However, we've covered this in the previous webinars. If we have time in this, we will probably come back to it. Now we want to get back into the core of the focus here. Like Joel said, the first focus of the institution is enrollment. How do I increase enrollment? And a lot of institutions have a two-pronged approach to enrollment and student success. There is an admissions director that's focused on driving more prospective students to come to campus and apply. And there is a student success coach whose focus is to retain more students and get them into the funnel and keep them as long as possible. What most institutions lack is a full dashboard that integrates experience, because admissions generally has their own set of resources like CRMs and application tools and others, and the enrollment managers or student success coaches have their own resources. But with AI, you can bind them together, and I'll show you how we're doing that. So this is an example of an analytics-driven student success dashboard. And I know there's a lot packed here, so I want to at least, kind of give you a high-level overview of one of the student, because each institution has tons of students. If you think about a completion risk for a student, when a student comes in, the student submits their high school GPA, they submit their transcript, they submit their SAT scores, ACT scores, they submit their other information like their statement of purpose or recommendation letters and the like. So there's a lot of information that goes into the admissions application. However, and in that information, there is a lot of information on whether the student will become successful or not. Unfortunately, what happens is most of the admissions application data gets dropped at the moment of admission. And not every university is like Stanford or Ivy League colleges where they have discretion of only accepting students that are high performers. Most of the institutions, 80% of the student institutions, try to accept as many students as possible to meet their enrollment needs. And that's exactly what you're seeing here. So this John Doe, he has a, low math GPA, low English GPA. He was placed in 45th percentile SAT. Both his siblings dropped off, and his parental income for his parents was under 45K. All of those are risks to it. However, he does follow the acceptance criteria because there's a lot of institutions like that. The risk that you run into with this is if the student has this profile, and the student is not ready for college, there's a big chance that the student will drop out, as you can see in analytics. And this analytics is coming from, at this point, admissions analytics. The admissions data, it takes the information and says, based on this data, we think the chance of the student completing his freshman year successfully is around 23%. And the chance of getting a degree is 10%. And this is where the risk is for institutions, where on one hand, there is a competing demand for increasing enrollments. And on the other hand, there is an issue where what are we going to do to keep them in college longer? So Joel, do you want to add any color here? Because I know you worked in colleges and seen this play out in your system before. Do you want to add any other color in this dashboard?
Well, I think that the main thing is what you're trying to highlight here is that early knowledge about potential problems gives you an opportunity to address or to try to address that. If you think someone is at risk, then as you have in the red box there, assign an AI tutor. It's an intervention, and the earlier an intervention can be applied, the better chance of success that one has. And that goes for whether or not it's an intervention with traditional methods or an intervention with methods such as what we're talking about here today.
Yeah, exactly, and that's precisely what it is. And and the key difference is, do not wait. There's a lot of early alert systems out there. I'm not going to name them. They were like, well, our early alert system says the student will drop out when they get a C in a midterm grade or when they fail their first semester, but that's late alert. We want to identify them at admission and help them solve it. And that's why we're excited about this product. So now, just like Joel has said, I want to assign this student an AI tutor. And what happens when I assign the AI tutor? As you've seen here, this is all like, even though I'm clicking buttons, it's called a large action model. It's really just calling APIs, and all it is doing is sending communication to the AI tool. And the AI tool is saying, based on the students' application data, based on all the risks that they've identified, we need to assign the student these 3 courses as remedial courses. Again, every institution has tutor center, remedial courses, and the like, but a lot of times remedial courses like go learn this on Khan Academy. There's no way to, most institutions do not engage with them at the level where you're not only giving them real resources ahead of time, but also tracking them. So we're going to show you how the AI-powered large action model will allow you to not only give this student resources at admission, which is 3 months before they even set their foot on campus, but also help them through the process. So I'm going to add all these 3 to the student so that the student can learn it. And now these courses are added to the student using the power of end-to-end APIs. And now I want to notify the student. As you've seen here, now that the dashboard has the student is assigned, now this is blue. That means this is now being handled by AI, where AI tutor is assigned. So for this part of the presentation, we assigned this to AI tutor package to John Doe. Rohan is going to play the role of John Doe and show you how the student side looks like, so that you understand the difference between how it is currently working for campuses and how the existing infrastructure that they have can be improved, enhanced, or deployed to help the student experience.
So great, thank you, Kieran. Thank you for passing it off. Very excited to show off this portion of the demo. So yeah, now everybody, we're gonna pretend that I am back in my undergrad, back in college. Low-key wish I was. Those are such great times. So now we have here, it's clearly related to physics, which I was definitely weak in high school and college. So this is a great way to show off my, experience. So we see here, we have what is the theory of relativity, and it gives us the description of it and some more in depth, but say that this is still not helping me. I'm still not understanding what it was. No need to fear. That's why we have this help me button to use the AI tutor. But in addition to that, we also can contact somebody, schedule a meeting, and as well, tell somebody to get additional help as well. So that's just great. And I would just like to state that having these features from in the past where, oh, you would have to look it up on the internet and find many different websites that were saying the same thing, or looking through your textbook and getting sources from multiple areas can either be very helpful or make you more confused. And it just makes it so much easier and simpler while doing it all within LightLeap, and that's what I'm about to show you. So definitely, yeah, I don't know what this is. I definitely want to get more help, so I'll click this. And as you notice, it'll pop up. It was saying before I can help you, you can fill in. Can you fill in the response to this question? Can you state and explain Newton's 3 laws of motion? So as in here, we can type our responses, and I already have them retyped. So I'll just do a copy and paste, as everybody should know. The first law is inertia, the second law is acceleration, and the third law is action and reaction. So we'll go ahead and continue. And yeah, and as you see, now it's giving me an equation and a problem on the laws about kinetic energy. So as you can see, the system first identified what I needed to know in order to go back to the theory, but then it gave me this as a knowledge check. So only then, after the system's knowing, oh, this guy knows knowledge, then I can move back onto the question and understand more. So when we go and do knowledge check, we have to answer this question. What does Newton's second law state, and how is it applied in calculating the force of acting on an object? So as you see, as the same way, I can type in my answer, which I'll just do a simple copy and paste. And we can enter it and go back to the main lesson. So as you see, now we're back to the theory of relativity, and then say that like I still want some more help, I can click help me. But you notice these questions are different now because the system being connected through our course data, being connected through the SIS, the learning patterns, everything, has identified, okay, this student has passed the knowledge check. So now in order to get additional help, he needs to know what this is. So I like to think about this kind of like a video game logic, where whenever you start a new video game, you have a tutorial, and only after you beat the tutorial, it'll be like, oh, you now know the basics, continue to the next part or continue the main story, and you're just leveling up, doing level 1, level 1's passed, you do everything, level 2. So now, as you can see, it's having me ask, what is the speed of light and why is it significant in physics? And can you explain what the electromagnetic waves are? So as you can see, I can easily put in these two, and boom, I can just go ahead and light leap, and it'll take me back to this, so I can go ahead and now solve it with the knowledge I know. So that's just one way of using the AI tutor aspect to make everything so much easier, and everything is again all in one portal, so there's no need to open up many different tabs or look through like big textbooks and everything. You can have the help of AI to have the student do the best they can do, and like I said, with the knowledge gaps, the system will make sure that the student knows their information, and not just moving on like any other online learning module you may find.
Great. Thanks, Rohan. Really appreciate it. So again, this is the first step towards student retention, right? So when the first step towards student retention is to make sure that when a student applies, don't wait for them to get their first C grade, or don't wait for them to fail in their first semester, but help them retain, help them before they put their foot in the campus. But things are more interesting than that. Like, let's say that the student has come on campus. Now the student has the resources they need to succeed. Rohan will kind of tee up for the next part of the demo, which is the student itself, where a lot of times the issue that happens with students is that the student is accepted. They do a decent job in the first year, because a lot of times the onboarding experience is a little hard. They get in the freshman year, they're trying to get adjusted to campus, and sometimes things will work out, and sometimes things do fall apart. So student, and some students struggle at the end of the first semester. So as part of the next step, we will show you the resources the student has after they put their foot in the campus, where student is trying to register for a course. And the current model of higher education is you have to go through the self-service portal, find a course, pick a term, find a course, and see all the courses that are available and which course has prerequisites, which course has prerequisites. So a lot of work that needs to be done first for a student before the course can be registered. And this is it's like going to delta.com and it's showing you 1,000 flights that are available, 1,000 flights when you want to book a flight. And out of the 1,000 flights, only 3 flights have the seats available. Most of higher education experience is like that. But it also makes us do the work where I have to find my own timings that I can register for and the like. So we took this as a problem and decided, how do we make this seamless for students so that students can register with 2 clicks, and just like you would pick from an airline. So now Rohan is going to show you how the registration experience will look like, and also the in-classroom experience would look like after the register. So now, as part of the student success, we have 2 focus. One is how do we enroll better students, and how do we make sure that when a student is enrolled, we give them the support they need to step on campus. But now Rohan is going to show how the student, how can AI help a student once they're enrolled, because this is important. This is just as important, especially if you want them to graduate. Go ahead, Rohan.
Awesome. So as you see, we are in the login screen. I'm using my credentials as John Doe. So I will go ahead and log in. And as you see, sorry about this. And as you see, we are now in our portal and about to register. So what classes should I take this semester? Let's go ahead. As you see, these are some classes I already took. And then there's that physics class again, right there. So it's saying these are upcoming classes I can register for. So what people would do in the past is they would look at the timings and everything and look at their calendar, have other pages popped up or a notebook or whatever, and do all tedious tasks just to register for the classes. And even then they might not even like it, or be like, oh, I'm registered for this class, but will I do well in it? That's the main issue, because students, obviously, they pick classes, but they want to get A's in. So we, made it easier and saying, how do I get an A? So can you recommend me a set of courses that have the best chance to get an A in? Yes, I can. Then the system, since it's already connected to the student data and the course data and everything, and it learns and picks up how you're learning, the patterns of the class, the patterns of how the student is, not only you, but when it comes to the class, the other patterns of other students as well. So it takes all that into consideration, being connected to the SISs and the LMSs, so that way it can be tailored to you specifically, to get and being like, these are the best classes that you have the best chance of getting A for this semester. So that's what we kind of did. So we can individually click on these buttons and register for them. Or, I'm doing LightleapAI, do your thing. I'll click on that. And boom, as you see, for stat, we are already registered. For calculus, we are not registered because the system says that we have a prereq that needs to be done first. So there's just an easier way to figure out what classes that you need, what classes you have a best chance of getting A into. And if you want this class but can't, then you'll know what classes you'll need to take beforehand. So with that being said, I'll continue, Kieran.
Yeah, just to make sure that you understand how the best chance of getting an A is created. So with AI, a lot of these things that were considered extremely complicated or impossible just a couple of years ago are super easy now with AI. So the way we are building LightleapAI is that and we'll get into that with the project plan, is the first step we do as part of the deployment is we run through different analytics. We built out the prediction models for admissions applicants, prediction models for course registrations, prediction models for student enrollments, and the whatever data models that you pick are critical for your organization. And based on that, when a student says, how do I get an A? It looks at least 3 parameters. One is the student's academic history on how the student has performed in different subjects, different courses so far, and also looks at the courses history on how different sections have been graded over the last 5 years. And together, it will come up with an analytics and say, if this course student takes this course, the chance of this student getting an A or B or C is this percent. So, you all, I'm not sure how many of you guys are NFL fans, but if you look at NFL fans, the statistics can say what they may on who's going to win, what's the chance of fourth down success or third down success is, but ultimately there is a big portion of it is human element. But statistics is statistics. It will predict it, and based on that, it's going to give them this analysis, and that's what is going into it. Again, not to geek you out, there's a lot of math involved, statistics involved, prediction involved, but AI makes it super easy. And what you've also seen Rohan do, and as part of the search bar, is if you look at the search bar, we're not going and clicking a button or clicking an app or something like that. We're conversing with the system in plain English. That's the power of natural language processing, where AI is talking to you just like you would talk to a registrar or advisor. And that's the cool thing about the NLP system. So Rohan, I don't even steal your thunder there, but I just want to make sure that people understand what is happening behind the scenes when you say, show me the course I can get an A.
No, thank you. That was very well explained. So now that we showed you how students can use a Lightleap to register and pick classes that they have the best chance of getting an A in, we can also show you how to use it to, help with their homework assignments, and or if they have like a problem they're trying to figure out, how that can work as well. So we can go back to student, and we can go to calculus quiz prep. And again, I am not good in calculus either, the long college story. So, for whatever reasons, Karen's picking the classes that I did not do well in an undergrad. But moving on, jokes aside, this is the calculus problem. So say, I don't know what mean value theorem is, so I can use the search bar and type in what does mean value theorem mean, and we can click this button, and then the AI will generate a description of it. So now that I have a better understanding of what this is, it can help me understand what that is so I can solve the problem. And you can use it also for, you want to know what any of these variables mean or anything else really. So that's just one example of having a way to use the AI to help solve a math problem. And we can also do the same for, sorry. I think it lagged me out in. So sorry about that, logging back in. And we can also use the same thing for Shakespeare sonnets as well if you're taking an English class. So I can be like, can you better explain sonnet 18? And then we can use the button, and it'll, it takes a sec, but generate another description that's easier for me to understand, so I can do better in understanding that sonnet for whatever reasons. I have like a essay to write about, a quiz, maybe a stage play, whatever. So that's just some examples of not only how Lightleap is used for on the student side to help students pick their classes, but also to help them with their assignments and everything, as well as using the AI tutor assist as well. And
Great.
that's that. Back to you, Kieran.
Sounds great. Again, we don't want to definitely overload you with the presentation or the demos as well. Please feel free to join and see the past webinars and ask questions. We'll be happy to answer them any way you like. But for all your geeks out there, or technologists out there, to be more precise, we want to talk to you a little bit about how does this all work, because it's what we are showing you here is pretty involved, right? We are building a product that connects with different information sources, and this is where AI is really and what we're doing with Lightleap is very powerful. So with Lightleap, we are not exposing your institutional data to ChatGPT or Bard or anything else. What we are creating here is a private AI environment where each institution will have your own private AI environment with your models trained on your configurations, customizations, and the like. And also, to make this possible, there'll be a vector database that would be storing this information so that when a student comes in and asks to run analytics on other courses, they can do that. But most importantly, it is going to be security wrapped. So when a student logs in, every query they're asking will be within the context of that student's data. When a course-related information shows up, and like Rohan showed on Shakespeare sonnets, if the student asks questions about the relativity on that sonnet, it will respond back saying, sorry, you can only answer questions within the context of that window on the left. So the same thing with things like advisors or enrollment coaches. When an advisor asks questions, the advisor can only see the data within the context of their advisee. So all of that puts security in the prime focus on how we are going to create this environment. So the overall architecture looks something like this. You can think of it more like a logical architecture where you have your student data, learning data, and ancillary system data, your firewall or SaaS version. But this is going to be your institutional LLM, where we are going to create a AWS environment that would include a Lambda environment that will connect your institutional data to the data stores, and the relational data persistence layer can be S3 buckets for unstructured data or document-related data, but also there is going to be a persistence layer, which is going to be Kendra or Aurora database that will store the vector data. Again, I'm not going to get too deep into what vector databases and other things like that, because that's a little too complicated for everybody to understand. But ultimately, it will be exposed to the LightLeap Education LLM. So LightLeap Education LLM itself will have two dimensions to it. One is going to be a general purpose LightLeap Education LLM that would transcend all institutions and will store the metadata of the institutions, not the private data like student data and others. And that will be a shared tenant. But an institutional tenant will include your secure data stored in your secure environment. That's how we are kind of compartmentalizing the information for you all. So, this is kind of another version of it. This is for the nerds out there to kind of get too deep into what the chatbot looks like. Ultimately, the chatbot would connect to institutional ERP and also chatbot backend. So this is the chatbot front end, right? The system that people are interacting with. But it ultimately, behind the scenes, it connects to vector database that connects to the institutional ERP and the LLM with the private data train. This is what will be trained with your institutional data and metadata and the like. And also the analytics front end. This is what we are going to spend a lot of time on, where every time a student institution signs up, we run enough predictive analytics to say, what are the trends we have seen over the last 5 years on some of the models and modeling effort that goes along with it, and all the other LLM aspects of it. Again, this is pretty technical. We'll be happy to dig deeper and explain as deep as needed. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and we'll set up some one-on-one meetings as well. So ultimately, to summarize it, because I do want to keep like 10 minutes for questions. Ultimately, to get back to what we started discussing about, how do we solve the systemic problems of higher education? How do we increase enrollments? How do we decrease student dropouts? How do we give more uniform access to every student and make technology not a barrier, but a vehicle to solve these problems? And in the process, reduce costs. But we're not talking about reduce cost as in changing resources. What we are talking about is using the resources that you already have, and by providing better tools to your advisors, so that instead of students standing in the line and to ask a question about algebra or calculus, they can use the resources and schedule a time with an advisor when the resources like AI are unable to help them. And also think about a faculty member. Instead of faculty member trying to personalize, it's impossible for a faculty member to personalize all the 50 students in his freshman cohort. So, but if the AI is a system, it can configure and say, this student is at 11th grade level of math. This student is at, senior level of math in senior high level high school. This student is at a sophomore level of college in math or whatever, and they can personalize the responses and answer them in an adaptive learning environment, which a faculty member will be unable to do so. But if an AI can be configured to do that, then a faculty member can focus more on their core priorities, which is facilitating instruction, building better learning course content, and helping more students rather than answering everybody's question and trying to personalize everything. So integrated AI is our critical part. And most importantly, we are building what's called a customizable AI. Institutions can configure your front-end chatbot to meet your institution's configuration rules, set up the hallucination controls, set up fidelities, set up rules on what it can and cannot answer or should and shouldn't answer, and ultimately customize it so that it meets the institution's ethics and standards. And ultimately, we do it all with absolute focus on security. We do not want to expose your data to any institution anybody within your institution that are not that should not access it, so that students can only see their data, faculty can only see their class roster data, or administrators can only see the data that's relevant to them by providing security topology and all of this. And that is how we focus. That's how we built Lightleap to help students successful. And we have a beta program that's underway, and we have at least 4 institutions that are actively working on subscribing to that. And our goal is to make it very incremental, ethical, secure on how we are going to release our platform. And what we have seen here today are mock-ups of the alpha release, and very, very quickly we will start allowing our beta partners to start testing out the chatbot interface, advisor interface, enrollment director interface. And our goal is to work closely with the beta partners to launch it for general availability by 8/1/2024. So this is our high-level plan. We will share it with the details, but what we'll follow is what's called a toll gate methodology, where we are using this method not only to implement the software, but also train your team so that this becomes a practice within your organization. The way we look at AI is the way we should be looking at internet or web programming in 1990, or mobile application programming in 2000s, or AI now today, where everything, or machine usage at Industrial Revolution, is that every job that we think of, whether it is a faculty member or a surgeon or a car manufacturer, will be somehow touched by AI in the next 5 to 6 years or sooner. And how do we prepare for that? We prepare for that by involving ourselves with a project like Lightleap, and that's what we are excited to do. As part of the beta program, we will work with your team, show you how the AI models can be configured, the AI data models can be trained, and ultimately light product like Lightleap can be put in front of the students. And there's a couple of university leaders we're talking to right now, where there's an active discussion of actually making this a curriculum so that this can be part of their learning or vocational program, so that any student that wants to learn AI can learn it from a hands-on perspective. And that's what we are super excited about. So again, I know we are kind of rushing through here, but we want to kind of give ourselves a little bit of time to answer any questions. But I do want to, since we had a quote from Jobs that was kind of somewhat cynical, which is very rare for somebody like Jobs to say, I do want to end with this quote by Arthur C. Clarke. Ultimately, the key for any sufficiently advanced technology is that it should almost be magic. Like if somebody asks you 30 years ago that, can you just sit in a car and it will take you from point A to point B, you would have said, you're out of your mind. It's only available in science fiction. But now it's possible. You can go to California and call a Waymo, and a car with no driver comes in, picks you up, drops you off with no problem. If somebody asks you, can you fly an airplane with 700 people on an autopilot 50 years ago, you would have said, you're out of your mind. But now we have autopilot. Even though there's a pilot in the flight, it is happening. If somebody came from rock ages and saw what we're doing now, they would think that everything we're doing, including this Zoom meeting, is magic. And that's what an advanced technology should look like. Advanced technology should remove the human element, or remove the bureaucracy, remove the socio-political challenges, and focus on the purpose of the academy, which is to help students graduate, help students learn, help students grow, and ultimately help students realize their dreams. And that's what we are here to do at End2End, and we are excited to work with you to make that possible. So I'm going to stop talking here and see if anybody has any questions or comments or feedback. Feel free to add here. Or Joel, if you want to add any color or anything I missed.
No, I think at this point in time, Karen, we're kind of time boxed. So let's just go ahead and see if there's anyone in the audience that wants to raise a question.
Yeah, please. Anybody has any question, please feel free to ask the question here. Cool. Well, it looks like everybody is excited. I would think. And let me see who's on the call. Okay. So no questions. If anybody wants to ask any questions, feel free to raise your hands. Otherwise, we can give you back 5 more minutes of your day.
And I just want to state that this will be on our YouTube channel next week in case anybody would like to rewatch it and learn more. And as always, you can email me or Karen or Joel to answer any questions that you may have thought of after today as well.
Great. Well, it goes without saying, I know how important your time is, and I know how Friday 2 p.m. is not a great time to take an hour away to join the webinar. We could not be more grateful for you to spend the time with us. You all have, I'm pretty sure most of you have my email address. Feel free to drop it in, and we'll be happy to jump in a meeting and explain as deep as we can. If you want to nerd out and talk about AI and RAG and all the new technologies, I'll make sure that we have the right team involved to discuss it. Truly appreciate everybody's time. Truly appreciate you taking time away from your work to attend Lightleap. Please, if you are seriously considering it, we would love for you to be a beta partner. We are in the final stages of closing the agreement with at least three partners right now. We have a place for a couple more subscribers, if you will, and more subscribers will allow us to work with them, collaborate with them, and build out a product with them, so that you can realize the value. But it goes without saying that the beta partners will get almost a 50% discount on the product subscription that will allow you to reach your goals quicker. But you also have a driver's seat in defining the requirements, defining the models that you want to do as part of the LLM, and we want to work with you. So thank you so much for joining this webinar, and we will keep you posted on the next series.